Everybody, and welcome back to another episode of What I've Been Playing. And man, this week was a doozy. Started off real nice and easy, but along the way, as I'm recording things for this video, my PlayStation 3 decided to just stop playing discs, I guess. The rest of it was fine, luckily, and PS3s aren't real expensive right now, so I actually had to go out and get another one, keep going on things. It's obviously not just for the video, but because I have a huge library of PS3 games that I enjoy playing all the time. So yeah, it's been a week. But anyway, let's get to the games this week. What I've been playing this week on the PS3. Move games. Specifically shooters. Shooters on the move. Shooters on the move. Okay, that's the name of the title then. That's the title of the video. Shooters on the move. Yeah, I started off with playing some light gun games. I was playing along with my kids, and we started playing some games, and it just really took me down the road of all kinds of different shooters. And these PlayStation Move controllers are exactly the same as what you use on the VR. So if you have a PS3 and you have Move controllers, you can use them on a VR if you get one. But anyway, I pulled these out, set them on the system. Let's take a look at a few things that I've been playing this week, specifically with the Move controllers. Shooters on the move! So first off, I wanted to talk about a couple things that you can play with the Move controller on your PS3 that aren't necessarily what you would expect. You see Time Crisis going on behind me here. We'll get to that game in a few minutes. But before we get into the just strictly light gun type shooter games, I want to start off and tell you about a couple things that are pretty good that are not necessarily light gun shooter games, but more first person shooters. But once you introduce the Move to the mix, makes things a lot better. First up, I'm going to talk about BioShock Infinite. This game, I actually played through the entire game with the Move controller. It actually says it right there on the box, Move compatible. And what you need for this game, there's another piece that you really do need when you play Move games on games like BioShock, and it's one of these. It's basically the nunchuck edition for the Move controller. I think they call this, what is it back here? It says the navigation controller. Do some navigation with this. So the way it works is you've got your Move controller in one hand and the navigation in the other, and it's just like a Wii. It's just like a Wii, a Wii U, whatever. You point at the screen, you move with this one. But this has a gyro in it too. It's basically their answer to the Wiimote. But man, is it comfortable to sit in a chair and just relax with your arms like on the sides of the chair and walk around with this and then aim and shoot. You can be so much more accurate, I think, than when you're using a dual analog stick controller. It's so much more fun too, because you feel like you're really shooting, and you don't necessarily need to have any kind of peripheral to make this more like a gun, because it's got a real nice trigger on there. Really nice, and the buttons are all easy to get to with your thumbs. So I mean, you hold it and you just bam, 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 bam. Great times.
That'll do.
The other one, similar to the intro of this video that I've been playing, has been Goldeneye Reloaded. Yeah, and it's also Move compatible. Of course it is. Same kind of setup as when you're playing BioShock. You use this to aim, you use this to walk around. Now here's a cool thing though. If you can't get your hands on one of these, they got you covered, because you can take a standard PS3 controller just like this, and you can hold that in your hand and use the stick similar to the navigation controller, and then still aim with this. It's a little bit weird to hold a controller like this in one hand, but you can do it. You can just walk around with the left stick on a regular controller and then aim and shoot with this, but using one of these is so much better. It basically is that side of the controller. So yeah, Goldeneye Reloaded, another really great game. This one was also on the Wii, but then they brought it to PS3 with the Move controller. Made the graphics better, some extra stuff in there. On the box it says that you get Hugo Drax in Moonraker Laser Pistol. So there's some extra stuff that they put in here. It is compatible with the sharpshooter. I don't have a sharpshooter. That's the great big thing like that that attaches to it. But a whole lot of fun. Goldeneye Reloaded. Was playing that one as well this week. So now we move into some games that are just strictly light gun shooters. And for me, and for a lot of people, the first thing you think of when you hear light gun shooter is House of the Dead.
The House of the Dead 3.
Yes, House of the Dead. And here on PS3, we have House of the Dead 3 and 4, both of which are downloadable titles off of PSN, and they work really good with the Move controller. In fact, you can play 2-player, and the two of you can each have your own Move controller, and it's just like playing in the arcades, and it's a whole lot of fun. I actually like that there's some options in here where you don't have to constantly have the cursor on the screen. You know, you guys remember Duck Hunt? I'm sure you do. Back on the NES, there was no cursor on the screen. It didn't work like that back then. It was a light gun. You'd have to actually aim and shoot, and it would pick up the pixels on the screen. I kind of like the fact that in some of these games you can turn off the crosshair. Normally, as you're moving this around, you see the crosshair moving around the screen, right? I like to turn that off and just act as if I'm aiming the actual remote. You'll still see where your shots go because it'll flash where it's hitting on the screen, but I like it better when there's no crosshair there because it feels like you're actually doing light gun games. So yeah, House of the Dead 3 and 4, it's just an extension of what we all know from back of House of the Dead 2, and which was on the Wii as well. I think House of the Dead 2 and 3 are on a collection on the Wii, and I have that too, but this one's really fun, really gory, lots of weapons, lots of explosions, lots of crazy stuff. House of the Dead 3 and 4 on PS3. You don't want to miss out on these, and I believe they are really just digital only. You can't pick them up in the store, so if you're not the kind of person who likes to buy things digitally, you may be up the creek on this one, but they are there and they are fun to play. There's one other one, another House of the Dead that's here on PS3, and this one is House of the Dead Overkill. And House of the Dead Overkill was also on the Wii, surprisingly enough, because they named this thing correctly, Overkill. If you like a lot of gore and you like a lot of cuss words, especially the F word, then this is the game for you because it says it quite a lot. It says right on the front, longer, harder, and gorier. Yeah, it sure is. They want this to basically be like one of those grindhouse movies.
Papa's Palace of Pain. Be a courteous guest.
By tomorrow morning, I'll have my mother revenge.
You know, where it's like ultra, just gore, ultra sex, ultra cuss words. It's just very shock value type of stuff. I think the first word that you hear in this game when you turn it on pretty much is the F word. So it doesn't offend me, but if it offends you or you have little kids in the house, you might not want them to play House of the Dead Overkill because, yeah, even on the back, look at this. More blood, more gore, more strippers. Yeah, there's strippers in this game too. But it is just another House of the Dead game. I don't want to say just another House of the Dead game, but it is just like the other House of the Deads. Except for this one I think actually moves a little bit slower. It's not quite as fast-paced and crazy as some of the other House of the Dead games, but another really fun one. And man, these PS3 games, you can buy these super cheap right now. Almost everything I'm showing you here today you can buy for $10 or less, probably. I haven't gone out and actually shopped them around, but I know that a lot of these are pretty cheap. So yeah, let's move on to some more light gun type shooters, and we'll leave the good one for last, okay? Time Crisis, you see back here, all these things. We're going to talk about that one last, because that's honestly the best one out of what I've got to show you here today. But I got a duo for you, man. This is a dandy. We've got Heavy Fire Afghanistan and Rambo, the video game. Oh man, Neither one of these games is particularly terrible, but they are both made by kind of the same company, Teon. It says on the cover here that Mastiff made Heavy Fire and Reef Entertainment did Rambo, but then they both were published by Teon, I guess. And so when you know that Teon has their hands on your light gun games, you're in for some trouble. Heavy Fire, Afghanistan, there's another Heavy Fire out there as well, there's two of them. But this one is more realistic setting, not realistic playing, but more of a realistic setting, and it does move really slow. It's got frame rate issues, it's got screen tearing, it's got everything that you don't want in a video game. But it does have some pretty cool shooting action that you use the move controller to aim, and it is on rails, so it is just more like an actual light gun shooter, Heavy Fire. And then for Rambo the video game, people know all about Rambo. I did a couple of videos about Rambo. Some of my earlier videos on my channel, Rambo's Secret Weapon was my video that I made talking all about how you use the move for this game, and it makes it more tolerable to play. In fact, it's the only way I suggest that you play Rambo. And then also make sure that you have a navigation controller, because the way that you duck and cover in this game, it's all based on the stick. And if you don't have this, you can play with just this, but then you have to hold the move button and swipe down, or hold the move button and swipe left, right, while you're then trying to aim and shoot. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. So either grab an extra controller or a navigation controller in one of these, and this one's not so bad. The really bad thing about this game is, to date, this has been years ago, they came out with a free DLC to thank everyone that enjoyed playing Rambo the video game. They put this free DLC out, but it doesn't work with a physical copy on PS3. It still doesn't work. So if you bought a digital copy of PS3's Rambo the video game, I think it's $20 still. If you bought that, you might be able to download the free DLC, which is only a couple more missions from what I understand. It also works on PC, but if you have a physical disc and you update it, it takes the update and you download the DLC, it doesn't recognize it for some reason. I went back and forth on Twitter with Teon, and they were not able to get that fixed. I don't think they ever did. But Rambo the video game, another one just like Heavy Fire, lots of frame rate issues, lots of screen tearing. The shooting segments aren't really that bad when you're using a move controller. If you're trying to use a standard PS3 controller, forget it, it's not fun at all. And then there are these pretty long and really crappy quick time events. And if you look close on the move controller, those buttons are pretty small, right? Sometimes it's tough, and they're not in the normal position because they're set in like a square, whereas on the controller they're more like a diamond. So as soon as I see the quick time events pop up, I take my controller and I turn it kind of sideways so my thumb memory is in the right place for the left, right, up, and down. We don't need quick time events. It's pretty bad, but it's Rambo. Rambo, yeah, Rambo. All right, and that brings me to the best game that I have to talk about this week, which is on PS3, Time Crisis Raising Storm. R-A-Z, Raising.
Time Crisis Raising Storm.
So Raising Storm itself, there's 3 titles within this particular game. The first one is Time Crisis Raising Storm, which is kind of a new Time Crisis, new as far as when they came out with this game. And it is a rail shooting Time Crisis type of game where you fire, hit the button to duck and reload, come back up, shoot some more, just like classic Time Crisis. It's another terrorist setting. There's some sweet heavy metal at the beginning. Bang your head. Oh yeah. Yes. Stuff like that. And that's pretty cool. You can play that 1 or 2 players. You play through the whole thing. There's really only 3 main missions, 3 kind of long missions, but yeah, you can finish that pretty quickly. But luckily, then they've got Time Crisis 4.
Time Crisis 4.
and this is the arcade version of Time Crisis 4. So just like in the arcade, you can play single player or two player. The thing that's weird about this one though is when you play two player, it sets it up kind of like an arcade machine where there's two different screens. So the left and the right, it splits screens, your TV, and there's a left and a right screen to show. So that's a little bit different, but you can play through Time Crisis 4. And then my favorite out of everything on this disc is the Dead Storm Pirates. Dead Storm Pirates.
Dead Storm Pirates.
This game's amazing. I never played this in the arcade. I never even saw it before. But I'm sitting here playing, and this is the one I've been playing with my kids because it's not quite as realistic, violent, and all that nasty kind of stuff. We play the Dead Storm Pirates and shoot the crap out of a whole bunch of skeletons, and like flying Grim Reapers come in. You shoot cannons at the other boats. You know, you also have to, the part that's kind of annoying, but you have to take the move controller and spin it around and around, left and right, and whichever way you want to go, left, right, left, right. You have to spin it around to steer your boat in certain sections. The kids really like it, and it's fun because they're like, ah, and spinning around. So that's a good time. Time Crisis Raising Storm. If you see this out there, grab it for sure because it's got 3 really awesome games. If you have a move controller, you need to have one of these copies because this is a really fun game to play with this. So there you have it for this week. It's been all about shooters on the move for PlayStation 3. That's what I've been playing. I know there's a bunch of other games that also can be used with the move. I think the third Resistance game. There's also a bunch of sports games. I know Tiger Woods, one of the golf games, you can swing with this. There's a tennis game. There's a lot of fun things to play with the move controller. Other kids' games, the little iPet thing. They did a whole lot with this, and in typical Sony fashion, if it just wasn't flying off the shelves, they didn't really market it very much. But I don't think it's a waste of time to have a move controller because it really is unique and something different to play and something that you can have a lot of fun with, especially if you have kids because they really like pointing at the screen and aiming and stuff like that. So anyway, let me know down in the comments what you think. Do you guys have some move controllers? Do you have any games that you like to play on the move controllers? Shooters on the move? Other kind of games on the move? I know there's some strategy games. All kinds of stuff that you can play with this on the PlayStation. And then also works on the VR and your PS4. So yeah, let me know what you think down below. But till next time, remember, you never outgrow video games. My name's Chad the Gaming Dad. And thanks again for watching. And we'll see you on the next one. So long, everybody. Congratulations! You have made it to the end of the video. And now, for the obligatory end of video on YouTube crap. Honestly, everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you did like it. If you did, please share it with your friends, like, subscribe, and comment, because you know that's the only way that we can appease the robots that rule us on YouTube with all of the algorithms. There are links in the description as well if you would like to help the channel further. But really, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.